In the annals of history, few figures stand as tall as Moses, the legendary leader who parted the Red Sea, led the Israelites out of Egypt, and received the 10 sacred commandments directly from God. Almost everything about his life was well documented. Yet, no one is certain where his final resting place was located. For thousands of years, this continuing puzzle has attracted attention and caused reflection among scholars and believers alike. But do you know why Moses' body was never found? Join us as we explore why scientists' terrifying discovery of Moses' body changes everything. The last days of Moses. The story in the Bible about Moses' final days is a touching and heartfelt tale of a leader preparing to leave the people he has guided for many years. These events, mostly recorded in the book of Deuteronomy, reveal how Moses' journey and the fate of the Israelites intertwined. In these accounts, we see a leader who understands that his time is nearly up. He uses this period to offer advice, gifts, and a vision for the future. Standing on the brink of the promised land, Moses is acutely aware that he will not be able to enter. This may seem puzzling, given that he had spent his entire life leading the Israelites to this place flowing with milk and honey. However, Moses had once disobeyed God's instructions by striking a rock at Meribah instead of speaking to it. As a consequence, he was informed that he would never set foot in the land he had long sought to give to his people following God's command. Despite this, Moses dedicates his final days to imparting important lessons to the Israelites. His speeches, blessings, predictions, and repetitions of the law are all meticulously recorded in the book of Deuteronomy. Through these teachings, he emphasizes the significance of honoring the covenant with God, the dangers of disobedience, and the potential rewards of unwavering faith. When Moses bid farewell to the Israelites, he did more than just recite the law. He expressed genuine concern for their future. Moses repeatedly cautioned them about the temptations awaiting them in the promised land. He understood that people are naturally inclined to succumb to such temptations. Moses urged them not to forsake their faith and warned about the perils of becoming complacent in their success. He pleaded with them to reflect on their past, recalling the wonders they had witnessed and the covenant they had made with God. Moses went beyond teaching and warning. He took the time to individually bless each tribe of Israel, similar to Jacob's blessings upon his sons. These blessings served as both predictions and aspirations, illustrating the unique characteristics of each tribe and offering insight into their future. By blessing each tribe, Moses demonstrated his knowledge of and care for the diverse groups within the Israelite community. His farewell was a heartfelt effort to prepare them for the challenges ahead and to remind them of their shared history and faith. When Moses' time was almost over, God instructed him to climb Mount Nebo. From there, Moses could gaze upon the promised land, a place he had longed to see. Although he could not enter, God granted him a remarkable view. Standing on the rock, Moses beheld the expansive land stretching from Gilead to Dan, all the way to the western sea, encompassing the Negev and the Jericho Valley. This panoramic view held significance beyond its physical beauty. It symbolized God's faithfulness to the promises made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It was a testament to God's reliability and the fulfillment of his word. Moses, in his final moments, was given a glimpse of the land that would be inherited by the descendants of Abraham, a touching reminder of the journey of faith and perseverance that had led them to this point. Deuteronomy, the fifth and final Torah book. The book of Deuteronomy is the fifth and final part of the Torah, the important writings in the Hebrew Bible. It holds Moses' teachings, his reminders of the laws given by God on Mount Sinai, and his passionate talks with the Israelites just before they entered the Promised Land. But it's Deuteronomy 34 that carries the weight of Moses' final moments and his burial by God. The chapter starts with Moses climbing Mount Nebo's peak, Pisgah, as God directed. This mountaintop experience is unmatched. From there, God reveals the vastness of the Promised Land to Moses, laying out its borders from Gilead to Dan, and from Naphtali to Ephraim and Manasseh. The view stretches across Judah to the western sea, including the Negev, the Jericho Valley, the city of palm trees, and Zoar. In these passages, we see Moses' journey come full circle, from leading the Israelites out of Egypt to the threshold of their new home. It's a touching moment as Moses, standing on the mountain, takes in the sight of the land he will never enter, but which will be the inheritance of his people. The sweeping view from Mount Nebo holds more than just geographic significance. It is deeply symbolic. It represents the fulfillment of a divine promise. God had assured Abraham that his descendants would inherit this land. Now, as Moses looks upon it, God reaffirms that this is the land he swore to give to the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. However, there is a bittersweet aspect to this moment. While Moses can see the land from afar, God tells him that he will not set foot in it. This is a poignant moment to consider. Moses, the leader who confronted Pharaoh, led the Israelites through the Red Sea, received the 10 Commandments, and guided an often rebellious people through the wilderness for 40 years, will not enter the promised land. The reasons for this were explained earlier in the Torah. Moses disobeyed God's command at Meribah by striking a rock instead of speaking to it. As a consequence, he was destined to see the promised land, but never to enter it. The account of Moses' death in Deuteronomy 34 is brief yet profound. It states that Moses, the servant of the Lord, died in the land of Moab as the Lord had said. God himself buried Moses in a valley in Moab, opposite Beth Peor. To this day, the location of Moses' grave remains unknown. Moses' passing is unique in the Bible. The text highlights that it was God who buried him, and his grave has remained a mystery. The chapter quickly moves on from his death to praise Moses' virtues. It declares that there has never been a prophet in Israel like Moses, who knew the Lord face to face. This phrase captures the special relationship Moses had with God, characterized by direct communication, deep trust, and divine revelation. The passage does not dwell on the Israelites' reaction to Moses' death. Instead, it focuses on honoring his legacy. Moses' exceptional qualities as a prophet and his intimate relationship with God set him apart from all others. The theological importance of Moses' unknown burial site. The puzzle surrounding the location of Moses' grave has sparked various interpretations, each offering unique theological insights and lessons. One widely accepted explanation suggests that the hidden grave serves as a precaution against the worship of false gods. Moses was attributed with immense power, authority, and miracles. There was a concern that the Israelites, or future generations, might venerate his grave to an extent that could detract from the central tenet of monotheistic worship, directing attention solely to God. By concealing Moses' resting place, God ensured that while his memory would be respected, it would not overshadow the worship of God. This measure prevented Moses from being revered excessively. It underscores the importance of monotheistic devotion, where the focus remains steadfastly on God rather than on any human figure, no matter how significant their role in history. The hidden grave thus serves as a reminder of the need to maintain the purity of worship and to avoid idolizing mortal beings, redirecting reverence and adoration solely to the divine. Another fascinating perspective considers Moses' unique relationship with God, unlike anyone else's. The fact that God personally buried Moses demonstrates the extraordinary closeness and special nature of their bond. This act adds depth to Moses' character, portraying him not just as a prophet, but also as a friend of God. Being buried by God could be viewed as the ultimate honor, a final act of divine intimacy reserved for those who had direct, face-to-face communication with God. The mystery surrounding the location of Moses' grave underscores the transcendent nature of his relationship with God, elevating it beyond human comprehension or ritual. Additionally, there are religious interpretations regarding Moses' glimpse of the promised land without being able to enter it. This event symbolizes various themes, such as the importance of faith, obedience, and the consequences of straying from God's path. Moses' experience serves as a profound example of the complexities and depth of the relationship between humanity and the divine, offering lessons that resonate across different religious teachings. Some experts believe that Moses' lack of entry into the promised land is significant because it highlights his role as a visionary leader. He guided the Israelites to their destination, but did not personally partake in it. This perspective emphasizes Moses' selflessness and dedication. It underscores the importance of fulfilling one's purpose, even if the desired outcome is not achieved. From a religious standpoint, Moses' hidden burial site and the mystery surrounding it prompt deep reflection. It offers valuable insights into faith, worship, and the relationship between people and God. The unknown location of his grave serves as a reminder of human incompleteness and the imperfection even of revered prophets. This realization is humbling and emphasizes the limits of human life. Additionally, Moses' view from Mount Nebo can be seen as a metaphor for humanity's perpetual striving to reach God's promises, yet always falling short. This perspective adds a humble quality to Moses' legacy, portraying him as a role model for selfless service while acknowledging the inherent limitations of human existence. In the broader context of history, Moses' puzzling death serves as a crucial link between the exodus from Egypt and the Israelites' journey to Canaan. Moses symbolizes the Israelites' liberation from Egypt and their sojourn through the desert. In contrast, Joshua represents the fulfillment of God's promise and leads them into the promised land. The hidden nature of Moses' burial signifies the end of an era and the dawn of a new one characterized by divine fulfillment. Theological perspectives view this transition as a testament to God's ongoing plan, where each individual's role, no matter how significant, contributes to a larger narrative about God's intentions. Historical researchers, scientists, and those interested in biblical studies are naturally intrigued by the mystery of Moses' burial site. Many have attempted to locate physical evidence of his grave, recognizing its importance to religious beliefs and the fascination with historical accuracy. This curiosity reflects a broader interest in understanding the past and the foundational stories that shape religious and cultural identities. Despite the passion and dedication invested in the search, the mystery of Moses' burial site remains unsolved. The quest to find his grave continues, with no definitive answer yet discovered. Lawgiver of Israel. Moses is highly respected by Jews today for his role as the Lawgiver of Israel. Throughout the 4 books, he delivers several sets of laws that are integral to Jewish tradition. The first set of laws is known as the Covenant Code, which outlines the terms of the covenant that God offered to the Israelites at Mount Sinai. This includes the famous 10 Commandments found in Exodus 20 verses 1 to 17, as well as the Book of the Covenant, detailed in Exodus 20 verse 22 through Exodus 23 verse 19. The Book of Leviticus contains a second body of law, while the Book of Numbers introduces yet another set. Finally, the Book of Deuteronomy also contains significant laws delivered by Moses. Traditionally, Moses has been credited as the author of these 4 books and the Book of Genesis. Together, these 5 books form the Torah, which is the first section of the Hebrew Bible and holds immense importance in Jewish religious and cultural practices. Moses' role in delivering these laws has solidified his legacy as a central figure in Jewish history and religious teachings, historical point of view, and archaeological pursuits. The mystery surrounding Moses' final resting place has captured the interest of historians, archaeologists, and enthusiasts of the Bible. The intersection of religious significance and historical curiosity has driven numerous efforts to uncover tangible evidence of Moses' burial site. Despite the fervor and dedication of these endeavors, the quest remains inconclusive, leaving the mystery unsolved. From a historical perspective, the lack of contemporary records beyond biblical accounts makes verifying Moses' life events, including the specifics of his burial, challenging. The Torah, while a fundamental religious text, is not always considered a primary historical source in the traditional sense. Its narratives, rich in theological and moral teachings, often lack the detailed geographical or temporal markers sought by historians and archaeologists. This context complicates efforts to pinpoint the exact location of Mount Nebo, where Moses is believed to have died. While a site in present-day Jordan is traditionally recognized as Mount Nebo and is revered as such, definitive archaeological evidence linking this site to Moses remains elusive. Despite numerous excavations and surveys conducted in and around this area, no tangible evidence directly associated with Moses has been unearthed. Thus, the mystery of Moses' burial site persists, leaving historians and archaeologists with an intriguing yet unsolved puzzle. The quest to uncover Moses' burial site is complicated by the protective stance of many religious communities. Sites believed to be spiritually significant are often shielded from extensive archaeological exploration. This protective attitude, driven by reverence and a desire to preserve sanctity, can limit the depth of archaeological efforts. Moreover, the vast and varied landscapes described in biblical accounts present a formidable challenge. The terrain that Moses and the Israelites traversed spans diverse environments, each posing unique archaeological obstacles. Factors such as shifting sands, erosion, and human settlements over millennia further complicate efforts to locate a site that has remained hidden for so long. While the search for Moses' burial place has been approached with both scientific rigor and spiritual passion, it's important to acknowledge the influence of personal beliefs and preconceptions. Throughout history, various explorers have claimed to find clues or markers indicating the proximity to Moses' grave. However, these claims, often based on anecdotal evidence or weak historical connections, have not stood up to rigorous scholarly scrutiny. The blending of scientific and spiritual motives in the search for Moses' burial place underscores the complexity and sensitivity of the endeavor. The Transfiguration and Elijah's connection. The Transfiguration, a significant event in the New Testament involving Jesus, Moses, and Elijah, adds to the wonder and spiritual depth of the story. This event not only underscores Jesus' importance to Christians, but also invites contemplation on the connections between their stories and the hidden religious meanings within the scene. According to the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, the Transfiguration took place when Jesus, accompanied by Peter, James, and John, went up a high mountain. Upon reaching the summit, a remarkable transformation occurred. Jesus' face shone like the sun, and his clothes became dazzlingly white. Moses and Elijah then appeared beside him, engaging in conversation. Peter, in awe of the scene, suggested building 3 tents, one for Jesus, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. However, before any action could be taken, a bright cloud enveloped them, and the voice of God proclaimed that they should listen. As the cloud dissipated, leaving Jesus standing alone, he instructed his disciples not to reveal what they had witnessed until after his resurrection. The Transfiguration event holds profound meanings, particularly in its representation of Jesus as the fulfillment of both the Mosaic Law and the words of the prophets, embodied by Moses and Elijah respectively. Moses, known as the Lawgiver, and Elijah the prophet, are central figures in Hebrew heritage. Their presence alongside Jesus highlights his pivotal role as the bridge between the Mosaic Law and the prophetic tradition, ushering in a new covenant. Moses' presence is especially significant due to the mystery surrounding his death, as God is said to have directly buried him. This has led to various interpretations, one of which suggests that Moses' return during the Transfiguration confirms his eternal life and his unique place in the heavenly realms. It signifies his special connection with God, suggesting a divine status beyond a normal afterlife. Elijah's participation adds another layer of significance. While the Bible records Moses' unusual death, Elijah is said to have been taken up to heaven on a chariot of fire. Both figures, known for their extraordinary lives, represent individuals who transcended the normal limits of life and death, drawing closer to God. Their joint appearance at the Transfiguration underscores their unique roles as teachers and prophets who were uniquely close to the divine. In essence, the Transfiguration event portrays Jesus as the culmination of the law and the prophets, bridging the gap between the Old Covenant and the New. The presence of Moses and Elijah emphasizes Jesus' pivotal role in fulfilling ancient prophecies and establishing a new era of spiritual understanding and fulfillment. Rabbinical Traditions and Interpretations. In rabbinic literature, which is a vast collection of Jewish thoughts spanning centuries, there are rich commentaries and interpretations of the Torah and its stories. Among these, the story of Moses, his life, leadership, and notably his mysterious death, has been a subject of deep contemplation. Exploring this body of work reveals layers of understanding and perspectives that illuminate the significance of Moses' missing gravesite in Jewish thought. One focal point in rabbinic exegesis is the unique portrayal of God burying Moses. This depiction stands out for its portrayal of God's direct involvement in the final rites of a human being. The Talmud, a central text of rabbinic Judaism, and the Midrash, a collection of commentaries, offer insights into this portrayal. They interpret God's act of burying Moses as a culmination of the special relationship between God and Moses, a relationship so intimate that it is likened to that of a father burying his son. This personal involvement of God ensures that Moses' burial is conducted with the utmost sanctity. Moses' hidden grave is often viewed as a fitting departure for a man who had direct communication with God. Another interpretation suggests that the absence of a grand mausoleum or known burial site reflects Moses' humility. Despite his remarkable deeds, he is described as the most humble person on earth in the Torah. This interpretation portrays Moses as a leader who deflects glory away from himself and towards God. Some rabbinic discussions delve into more mystical interpretations. Certain traditions within the Midrash suggest that Moses did not die in the usual sense, but was taken up to heaven, similar to Elijah. While not universally accepted, this viewpoint adds a mystical element to Moses' departure, suggesting a transcendence beyond ordinary mortality. Another profound reflection in rabbinic thought relates to Moses' longing to enter the Promised Land. He was only permitted to see it from a distance, but not to set foot in it. This is symbolically interpreted as representing the perpetual yearning of the Jewish soul for closeness to God, a deep and unquenchable thirst for a connection that is always sought but never fully attained in earthly life. The Mountain of Nebo. The story of Moses and the Israelites is deeply intertwined with Mount Nebo, also known as the Rock of Nebo, located in present-day Jordan. This geographical landmark holds great significance, offering a panoramic view of the Dead Sea, the Jordan River Valley, Jericho, and on clear days, even Jerusalem. For Moses, Mount Nebo was not just another peak on his journeys. It symbolized the culmination of his earthly task. According to the book of Deuteronomy, God instructed Moses to ascend Mount Nebo, specifically to the top of Pisgah. From this vantage point, Moses beheld the entirety of the Promised Land, described as a land flowing with milk and honey, the divine inheritance promised to the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Despite the beauty of the scene, Moses experienced a mix of emotions. He could see the vastness and beauty of the land, but was also informed that he would not be able to set foot on it. Throughout Moses' life, from his first encounter with God at the burning bush, to his leadership during the Exodus, the crossing of the Red Sea, receiving the Torah at Mount Sinai, and guiding the Israelites through the hardships of 40 years in the desert, Mount Nebo stood as a touching endpoint. It was here that Moses could reflect on his journey, his accomplishments, and his unfulfilled longing to enter the Promised Land. Moses' journey had been arduous, testing his leadership at every turn. Mount Nebo marked the final stop on this journey. As the shepherd of the Israelites, Moses could see the bountiful lands of the Promised Land, but knew he would never set foot on them. The scene from Mount Nebo is described as both beautiful and awe-inspiring. Moses stood alone atop the rock, gazing at the vast expanse of land that had been the dream of generations of his people. This solitude reminded him of the unique closeness he shared with God, often spending long periods alone in contemplation. Mount Nebo holds great significance as the place of Moses' death and burial, although the exact location of his grave remains a mystery. It is from this rock that Moses is said to have been taken by God, either to another mountain or to the tent of meeting, where he passed away. The uncertainty surrounding his burial place adds to the mystique of Mount Nebo. It's intriguing to consider that perhaps God chose Mount Nebo not only as a place for Moses to view the Promised Land, but also as a fitting resting place for his faithful servant. Perched high on the mountain, Moses would have had a commanding view of the land of promise, yet still shrouded in divine mystery. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. You won't believe this scientist's terrifying new discovery of Moses' body changes everything. In the ancient land of Moab, where the sun blazed hot and the winds whispered secrets, there lay a valley veiled in mystery. It was in this secluded realm that the great prophet Moses took his final breath, his departure shrouded in mystery. According to the sacred text of Deuteronomy, Moses, God's devoted servant, was laid to rest by the divine hand itself, his final resting place concealed from mortal eyes. For centuries, the whereabouts of his grave remained a puzzle, an unsolved riddle that echoed through the annals of time. The mystery of Moses' burial stirred fervent debate among scholars and faithful alike. Some believed that the clandestine nature of his sepulchre was a deliberate act, a divine decree to deter idolatry and uphold the purity of monotheistic worship. It was a testament to the supremacy of the message over the messenger, a cornerstone of faith for many. Yet others saw Moses' hidden tomb as a symbol of his unparalleled communion with the divine. To them, it was a sacred affirmation of his unique bond with God, a bond forged through unwavering faith, profound trust, and mutual reverence. In the heart of this ancient valley, amidst the whispers of the wind and the secrets of the sands, the mystery of Moses' burial endured, proof of the enduring power of faith and the inscrutable ways of the divine. But why do you think God himself buried Moses in a classified manner? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Comparative analysis with some religious leaders. The mystery of where Moses was buried is not the only puzzling tale in religious history. Many revered religious leaders, known for their teachings and wisdom, also have burial places that remain hidden or are sources of debate. Comparing Moses to these figures helps us understand more about religious beliefs, stories, and the importance of burial sites in our shared memories. Take the Prophet Muhammad, for instance. While his tomb in Medina is well known and respected by Muslims worldwide, his burial was simple, in line with Islamic teachings that discourage excessive admiration of individuals. This focus on his teachings, rather than on his person, is similar to the hidden grave of Moses, which prevents idol worship. Similarly, when Buddha passed away, his body was cremated, and his remains were divided among various monarchs, who enshrined them in monuments called stupas. This scattering of relics, like the mystery of Moses' burial, spreads out places of respect, highlighting Buddha's teachings over his physical form. In Christian tradition, the burial site of the Apostle Paul is a matter of debate. While the Basilica of St. Paul outside the walls of Rome claims to hold his tomb, other theories and local traditions suggest different locations. This uncertainty around his burial, like Moses' enigmatic end on Mount Nebo, adds an air of mystery to his story. These stories show us that the ways we honor and remember religious leaders can vary, but what remains constant is the importance of their teachings and the impact they have on our beliefs and traditions. The story of the Bab, a central figure in the Baha'i faith, offers another fascinating parallel. Although his final resting place on Mount Carmel in Haifa is now a significant site for pilgrims, the journey of his remains was filled with secrecy and danger. After his execution in Persia, his remains were smuggled to the Holy Land, reflecting a struggle between hiding to protect from harm and displaying reverence. This struggle echoes the hidden burial of Moses, meant to prevent potential idol worship. These figures, foundational to their faiths, share intriguing similarities with Moses. The mystery surrounding their final resting places serves several purposes. Firstly, it emphasizes that their teachings and principles are more important than their physical forms. By decentralizing or obscuring their burial sites, the focus remains on their teachings, principles, and divine messages rather than on personal adoration. This parallel shows us that across different religions, the way we honor and remember our spiritual leaders can vary. However, what remains constant is the importance of their teachings and the impact they have on our beliefs and practices. His legacy and cultural impact. Moses' story has become deeply woven into our culture, appearing in various art forms, writings, and cultural discussions. The mystery of his burial place has inspired artists, writers, and thinkers, allowing them to delve into themes like mystery, divinity, leadership, and the fleeting nature of life. One powerful image often depicted in art is of an aged Moses standing atop Mount Nebo, gazing out at the distant promised land. This moment, captured by many painters, conveys a mix of emotions, happiness, and longing, symbolizing the end of Moses' earthly journey against the backdrop of God's eternal presence. This image highlights themes of sacrifice, leadership, and the weight of destiny. Literature, with its vast scope, has delved even deeper into Moses' narrative. Poets, novelists, and playwrights have contemplated what it means for a leader to guide their people to their destiny, but not be able to partake in it themselves. The absence of a known burial site for Moses adds another layer of intrigue, allowing writers to explore the boundary between the known and the unknown. The concept of a leader who is both immensely great and incredibly humble serves as a powerful metaphor for the indomitable human spirit. This dichotomy has inspired profound reflections on leadership, sacrifice, and the human condition. In addition to traditional art forms and literature, Moses' story has also left its mark on modern mediums like film and theater. These mediums often explore Moses' early life and final moments through visual storytelling, balancing the grandeur of his journey with intimate moments of introspection, doubt, and revelation. The enduring mystery surrounding Moses' burial has been portrayed in various ways, from symbolic representations to real-life quests for his elusive tomb. This ongoing fascination with Moses and the unanswered questions about his burial serves as a testament to the timeless appeal and complexity of his story. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.